In this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, "You are not who you think you are." Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things you'll learn today. Number 1, how identity becomes a prison that you can't see. Number 2, why defending who you think you are keeps you stuck. And number 3, what to do when you realize your entire sense of self is constructed. We'll begin with the quote, "You are not who you think you are." And we'll look at a structure of maybe how in math you have addition, right? Simple. 2 plus 2 equals 4. What we do with our identities is we are always adding, right? Pursuing goals and shaping, which I won't label good nor bad, but necessary. And when you start to question the idea of the identity, you literally deconstruct or subtract rather than add. That's where there lies some magic, some wisdom, some truth. Because you, rather than always looking and seeking for more, you begin to place your attention within. When you look within, you can do this practically via meditation and just breathing. You can do it via intentional breath work. But it also needs to be integrated into active life. The trouble with meditation and breath work is you do it in a isolated area. Now, that's all fine and well as long as you expand the learning, the awareness, the change, the realization brought to you in isolation, and you bring it into your life as you're moving each day in public, at work. The list goes on. The thing we need to look at closely is who you think yourself to be, meaning your name, your ethnicity, your heritage, your skin color, and the things which you like and dislike. That all comes to form your beliefs. There comes a moment, many moments, where you see that your beliefs are making your life harder. You are presented with something, and your identity of who you think yourself to be makes a massive resistance in the moment that you are presented with a specific stimulus, a interaction in public, or maybe even something as simple as driving in traffic. The question is, can you feel the resistance within your heart and be with it as it occurs? See, the value in meditation, in stillness, in isolation, even if you're weightlifting, there are so many ways you could be crocheting. It just needs to start, right? As a seed needs sunlight, water, soil, same thing goes with you. And this is why in the Bible, a lot of the talking is metaphorical in terms of sowing and reaping and harvesting. They're metaphors for how you move and how you see and the place in which you are projecting from. Another instance could be you have a clear cup of water and then you put ink into the water and the water changes color based upon the ink. Or you are wearing a certain sunglass and the color of the lens changes what you see. Now, this is happening with your consciousness as well. I'm sure you've felt it, where logically, in today's 2025, we use the word moods or attitudes. But ultimately, what we need to do is to question and be skeptical about who we've been told that we are, who we see ourselves as. Because as you go through this process in life of letting go of the resistance which is born through the idea of your identity, right? Your memory, your experiences, they create your thinking. And very practically, can you notice how you think, right? Where, of course, you need to tie your camel, meaning that you will have to plan, be organized, and deal with your bank account and be honest about your circumstance in your life, all while not resisting, not hoping for a better future, but being the person in the moment who changes to align with what you feel matters most to you. So, a practical change that I've had to make to help me understand the deeper workings of consciousness is to be alone more often, meaning that instead of just always distracting myself and entertaining myself, whether it be with the phone or being around other people, you kind of learn how to see what matters most to you. And specifically, a lot of us on this path have a extreme attraction or alignment with leisure. Leisure not in the sense of having nothing to do, but leisure in the sense of not being in a rut. Leisure in the sense of having space to enjoy your time each day. Now, that may come into a practical form of, oh yeah, instead of going out to the bar or instead of going out with friends at 9, 10, 11, you realize it means more to you to get a good night's rest, wake up early so that you feel recharged and can pour into meaningful endeavors, which may help create that leisure. And the vehicle of leisure may be financial abundance. So the game is starting to create stillness through some form of isolation. Of course, remember balance. I'm not saying you need to go to the Himalayas. I'm not saying you need to be a recluse. But I am saying that everyone needs to have alone time and space where you are not just constantly bombarded by stimulus, which keeps your mind ever going like a headless chicken or like a hamster wheel or a rat race, right? So, as I say all this, you're going to have to go through being a headless chicken and those other examples to start to say, wait, this doesn't fit for me. So, wherever you are in your life, whether you're in the initiation of your crucible, 18, 19, 20, 15, those ages are where you're presented with many challenges which break open your heart and connect you to the depth of the spirit. And then in your 20s to 30s to 40s, it's kind of like the building from the change that you are making each day. You have to have a balance of patience. It's not like once you get something, your life's going to be perfect. I know it can feel like that. Once you get this and that and the money to have the leisure, then it's no. Even in the process of not having leisure, you will create space for at least some leisure. Now, this leads us to point number one of how identity becomes a prison that you can't see. It's like if you're moving too fast, some people don't even know where they're going, right? And if you can realize that there is a prison of ambition, it really masquerading throughout humanity right now. There's beauty in working hard, but there is beauty in having space for your spirit as well. And they both intertwine because working hard invigorates your spirit. But if you're overworking yourself, then your spirit will confirm to you that you need change. And all as I'm saying this, sometimes the change is very small, yet massive. Meaning that if you have bills to pay and people to provide for, it's not really an option to not provide. You don't have to do that, but you get an opportunity to strengthen your backbone, to get strong enough to carry your cross through being honest about the circumstance. So there needs to be this fine resistance that is let go of. It's a subtle resistance. And you can feel that resistance very frequently when you take your life and you compare it to other people's lives. Because you're looking at the external only. You cannot always perceive or understand what their life truly is when you're comparing from a snippet of what their life is. You have to remember that if you are to compare to someone else, don't just act as if there aren't a bunch of things about them in their life that you're not taking into account. Because life is vast, it's an ocean. It's like what happens to us is imagine being a wave that wants to be the ocean. It's that form of illusion that the overthinking and overstimulus sets us within. Now, why defending who you think you are keeps you stuck? And this is really a kind of you're nailing yourself to the cross, right? What I mean when I say that is you learn through letting life show you. You don't learn through demanding for life to be a certain way. So when you are able to be present in the moment and feel your own friction or resistance that arises, then there isn't anything to defend because you are free. When you're free, you flow. You let the current guide you, right? Alan Watts says this, if you try to hold on to the water, you cannot swim. The swimming is a releasing and letting the water carry you, but of course you still have to move with the water, right? And this is why Bruce Lee said, be like water, because it has such a diverse, dynamic power. Where the water is flowing, you can't hold it unless you have a cup. But then the waves can crash extremely hard. The riptides, the currents, the whirlpools, they can create such power, such vortex. But all simultaneously, the water can be calm and peaceful. It is of that same essence which you are. That is how the spirit works too. And this is why I find myself loving mythology ever since I was a kid, because they speak of elements and metaphors of even being like a demigod. Now, you cannot attach to the identity of being half human, half God. That's not at all what I'm communicating, but rather that the dynamic of life is ever changing, and that the words are just forms of communication. So frequently, we get so zoomed in to reacting constantly based off of our identity that words can almost grip us. And in the past, they've said that words are spells. Abracadabra means that I create as I speak. You don't become someone by wanting to become them. You embody the essence of what you need to be, and then external life in the world, it feels the commitment that you've made to unraveling what and who you are. And as you walk in alignment, and that alignment guides you, it's like you're in the forest and there's a breadcrumb trail, or you're holding a lantern. You can't see A lantern is not a jet flashlight. When you carry the lantern, you can only see what's around you. And that is the journey that you need to walk. If you have a jet light, that is almost guaranteeing that the logical mind is running your life, and that the spirit, the intuition, the heart is not thriving. Now, you need balance between both, right? If you do not have your address in the GPS, if you are not tying your camel, well, then you have a problem. So there needs to be an extraordinary dance, right? Where sometimes you are leading the dance, your logical power is imposed, and you're sharp, you're on time, you schedule, you're organized, you're clean. Hygiene is good. The body is strong. You work out, you train. All that being said, it's like a smooth foundation for your logical ego identity. That is what is necessary for the spontaneity, the childlike sparkle of the spirit to speak through you, for God's notes to be heard in between the lines, right? If you think of a song, the song gets good because the pauses. You need the space in between the notes to create the rhythm. Same thing goes for the integration, the invigoration of the spirit working through the vessel. See, the vessel's necessary, but so is the spirit. And you cannot always be defending who you think yourself to be, because then you are holding on to the rock. And if you're holding on to the rock, then you never let go, and then the river can't guide you. So of course, you do need to ground yourself, right? If you're not strong enough mentally, spiritually, to have the faith and confidence to let go of the rock, then you'll never even give yourself a chance to learn how to flow. So you need to have that balance of, okay, tie the camel, 2 + 2 = 4, simple nutrition, meditation, stretching, keep the vessel strong, be aligned, but then let go. Just learn to be guided. Understand that you don't need to have all the answers, but the answers of wisdom are only going to be heard as you are doing your best. And that means logically your best. And then that invites the spirit into your life. Now, what to do when you realize your entire sense of self is constructed? Now, this is when you begin to see the conditioning unraveling. It can be a little scary because you realize how alone you are, but in that aloneness, you see that you have oneness with the whole. It's the isolation, the being alone, which connects you to the spirit. And the spirit shows you that same spirit flowing through you in your isolation is flowing through all humans. And that will spark compassion and help you to change your behavior in the tones you use, in the words you use, in the way that you listen, in the manner in which you give your attention, in the things which you say no to, and in the moments where you have nothing to say to others. It is not that you have nothing to say because you are rude, but you have nothing to say because you need to give them that space to feel what they are sharing and putting out. And when you begin to feel the essence of how powerful the program is, you start to change, and your everyday actions are just reshaped to prioritize something new. It's not so mechanical anymore. It's not that you're moving out of force, scarcity, or pressure, but you move with a power, a strength, a compassion, a realization that your life is not just about you. And when this selfless essence starts to be felt, then you see why it was all necessary. All the pain, the heartbreak, the deep illusion of being just the vessel. The spirit was always there. It just needed to be hidden for you to get to a point where you were ready to pay attention to it. So the construction, it's not good nor bad. The programming, it's not good nor bad. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Now take this essence, carry it with you. Let your cross be something which is not resisted, but a meaningful inspiration to be strong. Not strong for your desires, but strong for others who are lost. And let your story be something of a beacon where you cannot force anyone to see anything, but you share and you move and you change, not solely for improvement, not solely for the attainment of more money, more this, more that, but solely for the connection which you did not always have. And as you see that you didn't always have something, that's the power, that's the meaning, because the change in your spirit is almost irreversible. And it will emanate in ways that you cannot logically perceive. You do not need to know why you do what you do. You just need to feel that what you're doing is right. And if you feel that alignment, that freedom of insecurity, that lack of second guessing, that disappearance of doubt, that is a sure confirmation to continue to walk the path you're being guided on. No one can do this for you, and it is only the Spirit which can guide you. My words have nothing to do with the identity of Justin Matthew Egliskis. These words have so much more to do with the path that humanity needs to walk. And the amazing thing about that is that you are part of the change in humanity. And as you walk your path, you will feel who you are and how that light is unstoppable. And then you will see the shadow and you will appreciate that without the light, there could not be a shadow, and without night, there could not be the sun. There needs to be this ever-going change. And we are where we're meant to be. We are who we are. And that is all well and okay. All I can say to you is to do your best to change, to notice, to learn, to let go, to make your practical, grounded lifestyle simple, joyous, and powerful, dynamic. Use the essence of a sustainable intensity. Challenge yourself to the brink and know when your body and spirit is communicating that you need to rest, stretch, and isolate. You need to go out in the world and you need to come back in. And as you go out and come back in, the wattage, the voltage that you can handle increases. If you were to put a 60-volt bulb into a power center, it would break. But as you continuously increase your ability to be moved, that voltage which you can handle also increases. And as that voltage charges your being, it's your duty to share the charge with the world. Thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart just for taking the time today, the attention, the energy. Do not leave this and forget about it, but carry it with you. Let it guide you. Understand that there are certain actions that when you're done doing them, how do you feel? Ask that question. After doing XYZ, how do I feel? Today, you know, as I say that, there's certain things popping into your head. When you go to do those actions, just take a moment and pause breathe, feel what it is that you are. Amen. Thank you. Share it with a family member or a friend if you have anyone at all that you think would resonate with this. You are powerful, but you need to see that power for yourself. These words are only words, and it's all in your hands. Now, really, the recap, it's the identity is a prison you can't see if you are attached to a story. So it's our duty to unravel that story, which is almost like a box. It's important to see and question, are there glass ceilings in my life? What sort of beliefs are keeping me small? Look at those deeply. Write about them. Now, why defending who you think you are keeps you stuck? Every time you have resistance, there's fruit in the resistance. But if you are out of ignorance, quickly reacting, then you don't feel the depths of what that friction or resistance is carrying. Now, what to do when you realize your entire sense of self is constructed? You question yourself. You journal to yourself. You pay attention to that relationship between action and feeling, action and energy. How do I feel after I do this thing? So you are not your thoughts. You're not your history, nor your identity. You're much more. You're the awareness that is observing it all. And you're very much also your sense of self. So let that teach you. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's go. Speak soon.